BBC Radio 1 Vintage.
Hi, this is Johnny Walker. Kenny Everett was an absolute master. Kenny took it to new heights. He was just incredible. The creativity and the inventiveness and his ability to use production techniques which are much easier now because of digital editing and all that sort of thing. He was just doing it with tape and editing bits of tape and over-tracking things.
Hi!
Hello, this is Bob Harris. Well, Kenny was unique. I mean, I go back far enough to remember people like Jack Jackson. And Jack Jackson was an inspiration for Kenny because Jack Jackson used to use music and use records and cut bits of tape and tell stories involving the lyrics of this particular track and threading things together. It was very, very creative, restricted slightly by the boundaries of technology in the 50s. But once we get into the mid-60s, which is when I first heard Kenny on Radio London, he was out there on that boat. They had hours and hours to mess around in the studio. And he began to come up with all these characters and experiment with the technology, experiment with production and phasing and things that you didn't really know very much about at the time.
Kenny Everett's Raving Record Show!
He was really close with the Beatles, so almost everything they released, Kenny would probably get an acetate or something of it first.
Are you composing this straight out of your head?
This is ad nauseum, straight from the mouth that bit me.
When he got onto Radio 1, you can then hear him with all these facilities we've got around us here, experimenting, coming up with characters. You see a bit of that now on the flow-through with Steve Wright, obviously, and the Aces and everything.
This is Steve Wright. I did hear Kenny Everett briefly on the Pirates, but mainly I used to listen to him on Radio 1. A great influence to lots of different broadcasters, certainly on me. His attitude on the air was just terrific. He was light, but he was very hard-working. I do know, because I later met him and knew him, which also I couldn't believe, that he used to work all week on just a tiny little bit, like a sung jingle or just a little character. I mean, all week. And he used to overdub his voice.
I'm just a feeble female.
Oh, Lavinia.
Just a tremendous producer of stuff and a great communicator. And just, I mean, there is only one word for Kenny, and that's zany.
That would be superfragilastic-plasticlociating.
Yes, dear, yes. That's all we got time for.
Hi, this is Nicky Campbell. Kenny Everett was the most amazing presence I've ever seen in a radio studio. He was on Capital at the time when I first joined. They were trying me out on a Saturday afternoon programme, and I was really terrified to be doing a changeover with him. And he went, coming up after is Nicky Campbell. And I went, oh, well, I've got this coming up this, and I've got this on the show, Mr. Everett, and I've got this. He said, well, don't be too good, or I'll have you garroted and dragged down Euston Road. And it was actually quite encouraging that he said that, because I felt a part of it.
Tell me where the treasure is hidden, I will play some more jingles.
Hey, I'm Annie Nightingale. Kenny Everett used a radio studio almost like a musical instrument. He was experimental in a way that has never been done before or since. A real technical genius.
Yes, that'll do for a starter, but what next, I wonder?
I went to his wedding. I sat next to his mum on the open-top bus that he'd hired. After that, became gay, as is kind of quite well known. He used to have seances in his Japanese house, which was near Gatwick Airport, which was very strange and weird and amazing. All this happened probably before he became the big TV superstar. He was also a house guest of mine, extraordinary talent.
Being on the same station as Kenny Everett and Alan Freeman, and then to Radio 1 being on the same station as, people like Steve Wright and Mike Reid, was just astonishing.
Kenny, wow, of all the people that have been on British radio, there's a strong case to be made for Kenny being the most creative.
There are some DJs where you just listen for the music they play, but Kenny Everett, you waited for the record to end to hear what he did before the next one. He and what he did in his links were more important than the record somehow. He was a fantastic DJ, and a great shame we lost him so early.
It's still sadly missed. I mean, there'll never be a genius like Kenny Everett on radio ever again.
It's National Radio 1 Vintage.
247 on your radio. Music on the wireless wherever you go. Listen in the garden, listen on the move. Lovely 247 always keeps you in the groove.
I remember being in a group of BBC officials who were deciding what words to put with the jingles we were just going to buy from America when we first started up Radio 1. And they were all sat around in a huddle, and it went something like this, credible as it sounds.
It's great. How about BBC Fun Time Radio 1 Fab Gear Man?
Oh my God.
Dreadful.
Get him. Any more ideas?
How about this one?
What?
It's a merry-go-round of musical fun.
Yes.
Radio 1 is wonderful.
Oh, poor thing. Miss Dyke, buddy, would you take this corpse to Radio 3? Nobody'll notice it there.
It's a merry-go-round of musical fun. Radio 1, thunderful BBC.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, out there in Radio 1 land, here I am in EMI Studios, Abbey Road, where the Beatles are currently recording things for maybe their new album, and they're all sat about on the ground, strumbling away on their guitars, so I'm going to leap in the middle of them with this tape recorder and get a few questions and answers and things. So, John?
It's blasting him out, isn't it? Level control. You will be blasted.
I'll stand down in Avenue Road.
So we better turn the guitaring down a bit later.
From the back.
So, Kenny, how are you going?
Oh, it's wonderful. First, I've been to India, haven't you?
And there was some daddy story out to each other. But Kenny Everett, MBE.
So that's what India taught you?
Exactly.
Did you come back with anything incredibly fantastic?
Yes.
Or was it just a little
beard?
Yeah. I got a photograph of you in the Daily Mirror, standing in a sheet. You look very peaceful.
That's called a banoose, Kenny, and I got it from Morocco.
Really?
Standing in a sheet. What do you mean?
It looked like a sheet to me.
Well, they do. Banooses look very, very like sheets.
Mm.
See, so as the lower classes in Morocco don't feel too put out, having only the sheets to wear.
I'd have black ones if I...
Very hot, though. Very hot, Ken. Black clothes.
Is that mine?
Very hot indeed.
Have you got anything to say that our listeners would understand? What I really meant was...
We've just done 2 tracks, both unfinished, and the second one's Ringo's first song that we're working on this very moment.
Exactly, he composed it himself?
He composed it himself in a fit of lethargy.
And what do you think about it?
I think it's the most wonderful thing I've ever heard since Nielsen's River Deep and Mountain Dew.
Well, that's about 30 seconds worth.
No, there's an LP out of this, Ken. There's an LP.
Hey, listen, you said
Kenny Everett. It's the Kenny Everett Show.
Are you composing this straight out of your head?
This is ad nauseum, straight from the mouth that bit me, Kenny.
I don't know how he does it, friends.
Neither do I, friends. You sit here cross-legged on the amplifier, strumbling away. I hope we're going to hear this, listeners, because we have a lot of fun doing them, but never quite hear them, listeners. Never quite hear them when you get home.
Well, I will play this completely all the way through, just
right.
for you.
For you.
What kind of a guitar is that? It's a very strange looking...
Fretless guitar. Nobody's boy. Hear that, listeners?
How's business?
Oh, it's one. I mean, what can I say?
You couldn't ask for anything.
I couldn't ask for any more tapes or bits of paper.
You won't get that either, but still.
So, wonderful radio wonders.
Ask me a few questions.
Okay, Kenny, what are you doing?
Well, at the moment, I'm having a daily show come on soon.
Really?
Yeah.
So they haven't sacked you?
No.
I was getting you a job with the Isle of Man.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I've put in the word for you.
Thank you.
With Ronald Manx.
Do you think Paul and you could do a duo harmony jingle?
Well, you'd have to get him.
Paul? Can you come and do a goodbye jingle?
Oh, well, sure, Kenny.
Well, that's pretty wonderful of you.
Goodbye to Kenny Everett, he is our very pal. Goodbye to Kenny Everett, is our very pal. Goodbye to Kenny Everett, he is our very pal. Goodbye, Kenny Everett. Goodbye to Kenny Everett, he is our very pal. Goodbye, Kenny Everett. Goodbye to Kenny Everett, he is our very pal. Goodbye, Kenny Everett.
Thank you, John.
Wonderful.
Goodbye, Kenny. Goodbye, Paul.
Bye, Kenny.
Goodbye, Ringo.
Bye, Kenny.
Goodbye, John.
Nice to be here.
I think they're mad. They're mad.
They must be mad.
If that's what India does for you, I'm staying with Bognor Regis.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, what is it?
Basement Bill here.
I know,
I
yeah.
just wants to know if you
Yeah?
want any Revive 45.
Why?
Because I'm going down to the basement.
Oh,
in
good.
amongst the filth and the muck.
Oh.
To dig you some out.
Oh, God.
Right.
Right. What a mess you are.
It's me gammy legs.
Is it? Oh. 2 days it takes, you know, to get that lot together. One show, 2 hours, 2 days in here. Is it worth it? I ask myself. Must be, I wouldn't be doing it. Turn on the radio every day, how simply wonderful. Hooray, 247 is where you'll see music and laughter, BBC.
So when you're down and feeling awfully low, here's what to do to make your blues just go. Open the pages of your radio times and turn on the radio and groove your blues away.
Yes, friends, that's Bread and the new album On the Waters and Easy Love. And talking of classical music, as in William Boyce that we were, then I have got the BBC's fastest violinist to play a piece for you. Are you ready?
I think so.
You what?
I think so, yes.
Oh, right. I'll give you an intro on the piano. Right, here we go.
Right.
Oh, great. Great. Oh, come on. Don't stop. Keep going, you fool. They don't last 5 minutes, these 85-year-olds. I think I'll hum a piece of classical myself. Actually,
Kenneth, that was beautiful.
oh, thank you. Actually, somebody should put words to these classical pieces and make them into smasherooty hits like, I simply cannot stand to be away from you, my dearest one. And when we both are apart, then a feeling goes zooming through my heart and lungs. La 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 la. Oh, can you just see it now? Me on a label. Oh, yes, I think that's definitely what I'll do.
Okay, that would be superfragilastic-plasticalociating.
Yes, dear, yes. That's all we got time for.
Now at 10:30 we go over to the newsroom and the latest happenings around the world from the BBC Newsman.
And the BBC Newsman today on
on the second floor waiting to deliver is Roger Moffat. And it's 10:30. Off you go, Roger.
Normal Mrs. Mary Peyton, wife of the Transport Minister, has passed her advanced driver's test first time. She's been driving more than 30 years, but says she was spurred on to take the test by her husband's appointment. That's the news from the third floor, incidentally. Our next one, 11:30.
She only passed because she crammed a fiver in his hand. I know these people. And now, where were we? And we'll continue to play your record until he chuck us off, which will probably be next week the way we're going. Meantime, back on the turntable, after that fascinating look at the world of, Madeline Rosa. Yes, it'll do. This one's by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles.
Now if there's a
Dear Seen and Heard, this is the first time I have ever written to you in my entire life, and would not have done so if my request was not of the optimum gravity. Once upon a time, my Saturday mornings were a delight unequalled by any experience I have ever known. Now they are laid waste like a barren tragedy. Since Kenny Everett was whisked out of our lives, how can we go on like this? What is there left? Please bring him back! Make our lives a gay whirl by replacing this genius back in our midst. On behalf of the entire British public, I appeal to you. Don't I, chaps?
Yes, Kenny, you certainly do.
Right, now, how about... Yes, that's it, yes. It's been so long. Words. Let me see now. How about... It's a thrill that's next to none. Yes, to be back on Radio 1. To be chatting on the wireless waves. To be putting on your favorite raves. I'm sick of being on the shelf. So let me introduce myself. It's Kenny Everett's Raving Record Show! Yes, that'll do for a starter, but what next, I wonder? Let me think, how did it used to go?
On your radio again comes the strains of Cuddly Ken.
And now, Kenny Everett, the man the BBC tried to gag.
Oh, what happened to you?
Bit of soul on the end there. Mike Hugg and, well, Manfred's, let's face it. And whatever happened to the Likely Lads on the BBC label? If ITV had a label, they could put this on it. But they haven't, so they can't. Actually, when we arrived in Llandovery, our little village in Wales, we arrived to find that there was no ITV at all. They just hadn't got round to putting it up. Well, I mean, can you imagine being ITV-less? I mean, with just BBC, we started finding ourselves becoming quite classy. Mind you, this week, they've put it up. In fact, last Thursday, I noticed they had the test card going in colour. You know, that little girl in the middle, standing there with that grin that you want to strangle. Seems to remind me of something, that record. Maybe it's Wagner's. Or maybe it's Chopin's. Or it might even be Bach's. Or even Grieg. No, it can't be Grieg, he's dead. Or maybe it's that one of Handel's that goes dan 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 dan. Hi! There you go, kids. Every radio should have a little handle. Mine has. And when I give it a wind, it plays Bill Withers. Listen.
Meanwhile, kids, here's the word from our sponsor.
Fresh strawberries and cream means only one thing. Vickers late as usual.
And now it's letters to the BBC time, here on the Cuddly Ken Show. And here's a letter that says, Dear BBC, I would like to complain bitterly from the bottom of my at how many are being allowed to say on the air. It's absolutely that these can say and get away with it without so much as a yours sincerely, P.S. Well, thank you, Mr. We do like getting your mail, but you know, you really must get that fixed. And now, friends, we're going to have a record!
Countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1.
And now, from the depths of the beam.
No, it wasn't.
The BBC every year spends countless millions of pounds upon jingles, and Kenny Everett makes his own. Oh, for heaven's sake, disgusting. All right, so I'll play them all.
Johnny Walker, Noah, Edmund Stewart, Henry, Radio 1. It's number 1. Good morning. It's a radio wonderful morning. What's new? Wonderful.
Too much.
Radio 1.
It's great.
The greatest.
No more, please. Have you had enough? Oh, yes. Because I can give you some more if you want. No, thank you, no. If you don't tell me where the treasure is hidden, I will play some more jingles. I'll tell you anything. That was a typical BBC DJ grilling. Yes, not everyone can be a BBC DJ. It takes a special type of person. A thick type of person. A person with great lack of brain cells. Someone who can tell the time wrongly, mention his own name 43 times a minute, and say the same thing every day, 365 days a year. Only if you can do this can you become a BBC DJ. Of course, it's not like that at all. They're all jolly nice chaps. And now for my last record. Something terribly noisy. Something to blow your eardrums to shreds on this beautiful sunny Sunday afternoon. Except I've played it already. But fortunately, seeing as this show is taped, I can edit that bit out and put this in.